Hi, I'm Laura, and this is the second part of the three-part series. It's about how to really look after our body while we're working at a desk, working from home, and all of these techniques you can bring with you back when you have managed to get back into your office. I'm assuming for a lot of us we're now working on a laptop. So as you can imagine, the laptop keyboard brings us in, the screen brings us down, and so it brings us to this kind of rounded position, especially as the day goes on, and really emphasizes, exaggerates the curve and the rounding across here, the compression in the lower back, lower neck. We can start to end up with problems in our wrists, in our shoulders, in our head and neck, as well as tension across here, and of course eyes, because we're spending so much time looking at the glare of lights. So here's a few things you can do. Sit in a bright position, and having the light coming in at you is obviously beneficial because it's not going to cause glare on your screen. So then you can bring your screen to as soft lighting as possible, or even taking out the blue light. The next problem we have is looking down at the screen. So what do you need? Preferably if you've got an external keyboard as in the description and an external mouse. I just happen to have prepared earlier. That will mean that you can then lift your screen using these books to eye level. That's better, but still not good enough. Luckily, even more. Now, okay, so now for me, that is now at my eye level, so I can then have a relationship. I can work with the computer without having to be in this position. Of course, depending on that, I could still use the keyboard like this, and that actually isn't the worst case because you've got a little bit of space for your elbows and it works like that. Alternatively, if you have an independent keyboard, then you can work with your independent keyboard and mouse. Of course, I have opinions on keyboards as well. I have this very sexy looking little Apple keyboard, which is very neat and very nice until I had to start using it a lot. The problem with this is that the keys are so close together that it means that I have this rounded effect going on. So I went back into my cupboard to see if I could find this big old-fashioned one, which I now plug into my laptop. It doesn't look nearly as sexy. However, what it does do for me is it gives me more space, so I can open up my shoulders more and I can play this way. There's some very fancy split keyboards available on the market where it allows you actually open your arms this way so it becomes more natural, and they all even have a slight hill in them, they're not even, so it really means that you're allowing this wrist to sort of sit in a much more natural, much more open position like this. Again, as always, having as many varieties, just like when we were talking about moving your seat position, standing sometimes, sitting sometimes, coming to the floor sometimes. The same with your hands and wrists, if you can kind of mix it up a little bit so you're not getting that repetitive strain through wrists and tightness through shoulders and the back of the neck. Watch the next video for loads of little techniques and movements to actually start to alleviate some of that strain that we've been putting on ourselves with these last few weeks of lockdown.